What is up, everyone? And we are back for a long overdue. Well, it's not a real review, but it's a podcast of sorts, and
Yeah,
that is
no, definitely.
we. This past weekend, we had the pleasure of being once again at Fan Expo Cleveland. It's Fan Expo Cleveland 2024, formerly Wizard World Comic Con. I don't know why they still include that there. We all know what I in Cleveland, at least, we all know that it's changed over. Like, we all know that this is the point. You can just call it Fan Expo Cleveland, but that's besides the point.
It's been like that, yeah, for a couple of years now. I am surprised that I didn't even know that they had that there. That's interesting.
Yeah, but once again, I'm Matt, joined by Nick Molbach, and we're here to talk about our weekend. It was a fun weekend. It was a busy weekend. We damn near ran ourselves dead. But overall, very solid and fun weekend. Start off right off the rip. This year we didn't really do interviews. For a channel like ours where we lean towards more the live action content and movies and TV, celebrity interviews are a little bit harder to get. Sometimes there is some overlap in voices characters who do anime and more traditional American animation.
Mhm.
This year, that just happened not to be the case. I also video game talent, same thing. If we had our entire team at our availability, it'd be a different story. But
Right, yeah.
no,
Taylor does more of the video game stuff right
yeah,
now, and neither of us do. Obviously, I'm getting
I
back
do on
into it.
occasion, but
Well, but you're
yeah,
playing more Fortnite, 2K. What voice actor is going to be?
Star Wars too, but that he's going to be a Philly, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But point is, when it's Nick and I, when we do interviews, we like being able to have a connection so we can talk to whoever we're talking to and give you guys the best content possible. Neither of us really watched or played any of the talent that was available to us to interview this year. I'm not even blaming that on Fan Expo Cleveland. I know a lot of times it has to do more so with the agents or because of upcoming projects that they don't want actors being asked about and so on and so forth. So
Mhm.
I can't, or they're just so high profile in the case of the Hobbits that unless you're national, you're not really getting those, which totally understandable. We're a smaller outlet. No harm, no foul. So just want to put that. If you've been looking for interviews from us, not really the case this year. It is what it is,
Yeah, yeah,
but we still had a good time. We still got to do a lot, see a lot, and
and
first,
participated a lot, which was nice.
yes. But something that was special to me for this con that I don't think we've really had in the past is, at least in the case for me, I had a lot of friends who don't normally go
Mhm.
show up, and being able to see the con through the typical person's eyes and their excitement and things like that, that gave me a new outlet or a new look on this entire experience because
Mhm.
I haven't been able to do that for about 4 or 5 of these that we've done now. Out of the 7 times, no, 8 times because I only missed 1 year. I know you've done the last few of these with me, and then I worked for Imagining Worlds Comics when it came to their cons, and just things just didn't line up. I won the first year of it. I won tickets, so that's how I did that. But uh, I've been able to actually have that fan experience for a few years, and being able to see that and experience that was really cool. Now, off the top, a lot of the bigger names canceled. That's no one's fault. It just happens, especially when you're dealing with actors and celebrities. Uh,
Mhm.
Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, gone.
We knew it was coming. Yeah.
Shamik Moore, the day before the con started, got called to set for his next film, so he was gone. So there are 3 of the biggest names outside of the Hobbits that you could ask for, just gone. And I know people who refunded tickets and and whatnot. It sucks, but I get it.
Even so, day two, oh my gosh, Saturday was probably the most packed I've ever seen a convention around here.
Yeah, and I was gonna get to that because it was packed. Your brother, who was set up collecting charitable donations for his college fund with his artwork, he even felt that impact. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
And from a perspective shift, seeing things from that perspective, from an artist perspective, was very interesting because I was able to see my brother actually be able to do something with his artwork. And not to say that releasing it on YouTube and stuff like that at Toontom isn't a feat of its own, but to be able to actually
Unload a
see
lot
somebody
of it.
buy and have it. I already actually got a message from somebody, a friend of mine who bought artwork and has it up already at their place. So
Yeah, and I saw we have a mutual friend on Facebook who they saw Thomas's art get signed by a talent there with the person bought it with the express intent of having it signed because they thought it was so cool and unique and different. So that was cool. For me, something I got to enjoy Saturday, my friends Michael and Jamie were up at the con. And Jamie, if you know her, is a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Like, I mean, she's dropped a ton on Magic the Gathering, the expansion of Lord of the Rings that did early last year. She dressed her kids as hobbits, and she dressed as Gandalf a couple of years ago when she came to this. It was just everything she could want. And I met up with them before her photo op with the 4 hobbits, and then I met up with them after. Before, she was just super nervous, super excited because these were like the guys she had her first crushes on, and Lord of the Rings means a lot to her, and just it really opened up the world of fantasy for her. And she ended up telling her husband, "No, I need this moment for myself. It's just a me photo op. Go away." They dropped. Keep in mind that was a $400 photo op, and she just said, "No, I need this for myself." I respect that. That takes moxie, and it's funny because I talked to her afterwards, and you can even see it in her picture. You could see the tears of just joy and excitement welling up in her eyes. And then when she was walking out, Michael was telling me, I knew she was walking out because somebody's like, "Oh my God, she's crying. It's okay. It's okay." And she was talking about, it was one of those things of, they, even Elijah Wood just had to tell me, "It's okay. It's okay. We're just normal people." And that got her. So like getting that experience and walking the show floor with them and seeing some of the talent that's there. Something that hadn't been back in a while, but was there in the past, was the laser engraved pint glasses or sandblasted pint glasses or whatever they were. My father had been looking for those every year the past few years, and the person who does them was finally back. They were talking about how they're trying to get back up here, and just seeing how their whole expanded brand was amazing.
Yeah.
I know
you do see a lot of, this is going to come across as a negative, but it's not. You see a lot of the same people every year, and you get to see how they grow as artists. Some people remain a lot similar in what they do. I'm not going to lie, and I'm obviously not going to name names, but I mean, to each their own, but you see a lot of these brands and these artists come back with brand new stuff. I mean, if you're looking for anything, just anything that has to do with a fandom, you are going to find it somewhere. I mean, I have grown to love Terrifier, the movie about the clown, over the past few years. And to see the representation of Terrifier overall, and see what these artists are bringing to the table was actually really cool for me. I It's in the other room, but I did buy some Terrifier art. I was considering buying the Terrifier mystery box. Let me tell you, looked it up on TikTok. Didn't need to buy the Terrifier mystery box after seeing what you get inside of it. And obviously, that was possibly a warning that some people on this stream had given me before. But, it was interesting to see. What was really nice, and I know that you'll touch on panels and stuff like that soon, was the panel involvement from what we did.
Yeah.
I think that overall, similar lightsaber group from last year, but Johnny's panel, Johnny Woo, which we were at the Asian Festivals booth the entire time pretty much, and to see
helping whenever we needed to.
You're right, and to see them as a local festival continue to get more and more recognition is very nice. They had a huge space this year.
Yes.
But the fight choreography panel, which I was a part of,
I had pictures.
Entire loaded room to the brim.
That was the first time ever in the last few years, as far as I could, because we were going to those even when it was just Wizard World, if I remember correctly, and it wasn't that big.
To see the group participation, the amount of people that were in the and to see people sharing and posting and stuff like that, it's kind of funny to go off on a little bit of a story here. Last night, Mary turns to her phone, and one of the people who was participating in the panel, there's a picture of me in the background because they were sharing about how they were doing fight choreography and stuff like that. So, you're getting all these people that are into these certain things, and you're giving them an opportunity to not only explore their fandom with other people, but you're showcasing Cleveland's talent, you're showcasing Cleveland's film talent, and you are showcasing the film commission. I know that you were at that panel.
Yeah, but I'll touch on that later. Going back to the interaction, just as an observer, because I only was there for about half of Johnny's panel, I think something that made that work as well as it did was the fact that they opened it to to the viewer interaction, which was, I think, the first and something Johnny wanted to try, and that made a hell of a difference. And seeing that the professionals weren't doing it, but showing you how they could do it, and then it looked just like a professional do it because they were being coached by the professionals along the way. Getting and seeing the oohs and ahs and wows because they couldn't believe that it's like, oh wow, that is a very nice trick of the eye. I didn't know it was that simple, and that was cool to me. Our panel, I thought it was cool that we had someone who came back from last year's panel
and the year before, I believe too. Albert and I took a picture. Albert was back with us this year for our lightsaber panel. And he just wanted a picture with us because he had been coming back so many times.
Yeah, and each time he's just like, "Can you teach me a little bit more since I was here? Can you teach me a little bit more because I was here this last time?" And Albert just pulled him aside and helped and taught him more, which I honestly a little bit heartwarming and cool. Because you wouldn't expect that, especially. I mean, that first year we had a ton of interaction. I do miss having a room for it. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about the cosplay stage being there today or when we did this, because it's also a panel about safety with this stuff. We're in an open space.
People are literally walking through constantly all the time.
And that is the only complaint I really have about it. Otherwise, went smoothly. It was nice having the guy with the music there. That was a nice touch. But it was fun. Now, like you said, on to the panels. I went to a few panels this year. First and foremost, I went to the Schuster and Siegel Society, or Siegel and Schuster Society, who are about bringing news about the Man of Steel, Superman himself, or bringing his attachment to Cleveland more to light and getting Cleveland the recognition it deserves in the history of Superman. Now, something that I found cool that I did not know was going to be announced there. I'll be honest. I went there looking for stuff on the potential of the movie filming in Cleveland. That was my number one goal, but I ended up with a little tidbit I actually appreciated more than that, and that was the fact that Cleveland is actually getting a Superman statue.
Oh, wow.
With its creators, who the Schuster, Siegel, and I believe it's Schuster's wife. I forgot his wife. One of their wives was the artistic model for Lois Lane.
Okay.
So that's why she's important to the.
We've made significant progress in the last couple of months, especially. We have very strong support from Cuyahoga County, the Convention Center Board of Trustees, the Cleveland Foundation, DC Comics, and Warner Brothers. We are very enthusiastic about our current project. There's still a few more steps we need to take, but we are very, very close. And I am very optimistic that you will see an unveiling of the Superman statue project within a year.
And what the statue is going to be is it's going to be Superman, and then you're going to we don't they didn't tell us what that statue was going to look like or show us what it was going to look like, but they did say
Superman. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
But they did let us know and show us the statues of the three people behind the creation of it, and let us know they're going to be looking up at him. And we got to see what those statues look like. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
And they teased it maybe it's a bird, it's a plane, it's type thing going on, and I thought that was cool. And they also teased that they might just try to time the unveiling along with Con next year.
That would be a big deal.
And I think that'd be a huge deal because it's going to be outside of the Huntington Convention, or what's going to be an extension of the Huntington Convention Center, because they bought out the building that's next door right before the Justice Center near the Hilton. And they even brought this up. People have their weddings there. People have all these events there. It's going to be this giant ballroom.
Right.
And
actually stumbled into it almost.
Yeah. And now you're also going to be able to you're going to have people who are having their weddings there and be able to take selfies and whatnot with the Superman statue and what he means to Cleveland. And also found a little bit interesting because allegedly, we'll say allegedly, a certain movie is coming to Cleveland to film for 6 weeks this summer. And that would be James Gunn's Superman. Allegedly. And I was able to I was able to ask the Siegel and Schuster Society about that. And one of the people on the panel was actually a descendant of one of them, which their answer was really cool. And they talk about the recognition they're getting, and then what it means with that and the statue, because you got to skirt around that question a little bit because you don't want to get anyone in trouble, and I get that.
Answer that really quickly. You just said that, and I got goosebumps. Okay.
I got goosebumps.
I mean, I still am. I'm getting them right now. It's like Joe has been waiting for so long to get the recognition that he deserved. He and Jerry deserved. They did that. It's bringing tears to my eyes. They worked so hard trying to launch, and they launched a comic book industry, but they were never recognized as, they were recognized after Force, right? But they were never recognized just in passing about how big of a character they created. I mean, I say the word Superman, and every single language in the world understands who I'm talking about. I don't have to translate that. And I mean, how many characters can you say that for? And so this would mean so much to Joe. I wish he was here. I wish he was able to see this statue go up when it goes up next year. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing it. Don't let me jinx that. But it means so much. Thank you for asking.
And then I followed that up by going to the Cleveland Film Commission panel. That panel was the most, and I think Mike Wendt could even say that panel was the most packed it had ever been. And he even said after the fact he thinks it's because of the alleged Superman. People were hoping for tidbits of news or anything or a confirmation, which we didn't get. Well, not necessarily. I did ask a question, and you can see it here. The clip will be posted now.
Just a quick question. Being the city where Superman is born, what does it mean for you guys to bring that to Cleveland for at least 6 weeks?
So we sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, for projects that. You notice all the projects we're talking about today, there's stuff in the past, so that's when we can start talking about stuff. The stuff that's in the future, we can't. That said, we are doing a pretty great job of bringing projects to the city and making a lot of money for the city. And this year we have booked $152 million worth of business. That's pretty good.
And yeah, they gave the we signed NDA answer. Cool. Normally when you give an answer like that, that is not an admission of guilt, but you're not necessarily innocent either. So still, allegedly. So that was cool. Their film commission is doing a lot for this for the city, and the tax credit in Ohio just doubled this year, and they're hoping to make that even larger, because the more they do that, the more business we can attract, and maybe Ohio can end up being on the level of Atlanta, of New Mexico, of LA, and bring in more business and jobs in the film industry, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then I also we had our panel. We mentioned Johnny panel. Mentioned our panel. Jen went to the Neville panel on my behalf. There was another panel I wanted to attend, but I missed because I had to drop my godson off. But she was telling me about how awesome it was seeing Matthew Lewis and him talking about his years making Harry Potter, and just how much that meant to him and his other stuff that he's been doing on the BBC, and just how his career has grown. And that's cool. I wish I got to see it. The panel, I'm really upset that I missed.
The real chosen one himself. I'm just kidding.
The panel I'm upset I missed because of arguably the greatest celebrity interaction I've ever had. Was the Star Wars panel that was the last day, Sunday, and that was with Eman Esfandi and Diana Lee Insanto, who's the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. Earlier Sunday, I bit the bullet. Eman plays one of the live action version of one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I had the figure, and I just wanted to get that signed. It was one of those things where I just like, you know what? I normally don't do this. I really don't. But this character means something to me, and I do want to be able. I want to do this, and also say thank you for bringing this character to life and doing it in such a way that it felt seamless and felt like he had always been that character, even though he didn't voice the character. That's Taylor Gray, and just everything I could have wanted, and even other fans I've talked to. So I thank them for that. And I had my godson with me, and he remembered him, or he said hi to him, had an actual conversation with him because he was dressed up as a Jedi. And
so were you at the time, I think.
At the time, no. At the time, I was. I had already changed out. But I mentioned to him that I had his saber, and I had it with me. And later on, after our panel, my brother was holding on to that saber for me, and he was at your brother's table. And
my brother was trying to sell him on stuff. It was kind of funny. I'm like, do you know who that is?
But Eman mentioned to my brother, nice saber. And then I come, and my brother's like, hey, you missed it. Ezra was here. I'm like, oh, come on. At least I got to meet him earlier. No, he came back to play with my lightsaber of his saber, to swing it around a bit and talk. Like that's cool. I can say, in my mind, that is the Ezra Bridger lightsaber. That's cool. But he also he was kind enough for the people who recognized him to take pictures with the fans around, selfies. Like,
Right.
you don't when celebrities are on the show floor, that's always a very hit and miss, touchy situation. But he took selfies with these fans and made their day. He remembered me. He remembered Zadist, and that was cool. Got to have a genuine conversation with him. Stand up guy. Like, I wish I got to go to that panel. I wanted to. I tried making it back in time, but it was a little tough. But it was great. And then another friend we got to see this weekend was Featured, who he has his own YouTube channel, Featured Films. You can go check that out. He is also doing coverage for the one day he was there. He's not a part of this. He's not press or anything. He just came with this camera for the one day.
Mm-hmm. And he'll be on the channel, I'm sure. In time. He's on. If you follow our YouTube, our wrestling series.
Yes, Featured on Watt Gaming. Go follow Watt Gaming and watch the wrestling pay-per-views. Anyways, but yeah, he came earlier this week, and I talked to him. He's like, I don't know, it's gonna be tight. And then he saw all it takes is one person, and he saw Brett Spiner, who plays Data. So he came. This was his first time really going to a con, he said, and he was amazed with the show floor. He was amazed with how just different and unique all these arts were. Like, now that I own a home, this is an old piece. The old new pieces are in the living room, but that guy with the coasters, he makes custom geeky coasters. I picked up a Miles Morales, a Deadpool, a T'Challa. The T'Challa one is stunning, by the way. And then I picked up an Obi-Wan in the Death Star hallway, I believe, before he's about to fight Vader. It was just, he's hooded. You can't really tell who it is, but it's a blue saber, and you see those famous Imperial panels. So I can only assume it's that. And he's actually local to Cleveland, and I have seen him at almost every Wizard World or Fan Expo that I can remember that I've been to. He runs a great deal where it is buy 3, get 1 free. They're $15 coasters, but they're nice. They're hard, ceramic. Just
I actually have a couple on my desk. Hold on.
Yeah, where he has this really cool art style, and you can't help but love it. Nick, go ahead and pull those back out. I just made it myself. Oh yeah, it's BoJack Horseman ones we got a couple years ago.
Yes.
Well, yeah, picked up some of those. There was this another vendor there who had posters this year, and he was there last year. I was able to get a Grail poster of mine, the Revenge of the Sith teaser poster, which is Anakin built with the red saber and the cape billowing into Vader's helmet. Cool poster. Probably going to replace my Phantom Menace poster because I don't want to put another poster up in this house and I don't know where. So I got it. Or I don't know which one I'd want to replace. So a Star Wars replacing Star Wars only makes logical sense. Anyways, but some of these booths were also super helpful. Like, I had saber issues today trying to line up and get ready for the panel. I got Legion sabers. Because they sold that saber, they were willing to help me get things fixed and everything. Really big up job. This was the most fun I'd had at a Wizard World or Fan Expo in a few years. Even if we didn't get to do interviews, right. I will say you will be able to watch the majority of the Cleveland Film Commission panel on here. I recorded most of it. There's stuff I wasn't allowed to record, so that's why it's cut up in bits and pieces. But you'll be able to see that here, and a couple clips from the Siegel and Schuster Society. You'll be able to see those, like the one you saw earlier, and that'll probably have its own mini video here on the channel also. But
I have some videos for a quick recap.
Yeah. But the vendors were cool.
For sure.
As a saber collector, having Vader's vault there just for the first time, because I remember early on in these things, I was like, I wish the Saber Forge or Vader's Vault would show up. When the year we got Ultra Sabers, I'm like, okay, that's close, but it's not the same. And then to have Vader's Vault be here today, that was really cool. I had fun with that, or be there this weekend. And then just all the LGT resellers, whether that was BYO Sabers, Hooked on Sabers, or Legion Sabers, who I mentioned earlier, who super helpful group, loved them. DX Sabers was there also. They were running a great deal on this grab mystery saber, which I'm gonna be honest, to me didn't seem like much of a mystery because I didn't see anyone pull anyone that wasn't a mystery. They were all about the same, but that's neither here nor there. Johnny bought 2 sabers now finally after bugging me for years about what sabers are like, what sabers are like and who to buy. That a deal like that finally broke him. So congrats to Johnny for joining that crazy world I'm part of there. But no, I really think that this was honestly one of the best Fan Expo Cleveland's or Wizard Worlds that we've had. And I think that next year has the potential to add on to this, be even better, and just keep this thing growing. They've already announced the dates for next year. March 21st through 23rd, if I remember correctly. Just let me double check that. Yeah, March 21st through the 23rd. They'll be back. It's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. I'm always thankful for the press coverage. You know, sometimes life gets in the way and we don't get to put everything out that we'd love to, but I'm so excited that we've gotten to be able to do this the last few years because it does mean a lot, and it means a lot to be able to bring that to you guys, and whether it's getting interviews, not getting interviews. I love what Fan Expo Cleveland has been able to do for us and help us with, and just ultimately provide something, a geeky outlet for people of all ages, genders, doesn't matter. Being able to see it through the eyes of my godson, through the eyes of my friends, just my own eyes in general. It's awesome. And especially when 15, 20 years ago, these things weren't as popular. They were starting to get more popular, but they weren't the most like a go-to event. And now here we are, the fact that there's one in Cleveland annually that means the world to a lot of people, brings people from all over, and just is everything you could want it to be. I know we were a little bit sour on last year's, but any complaints that we had last year for the most part were fixed this year. And it's really cool that they are putting the effort and work into making this as fun as an event as it possibly can be for everyone who comes. So thank you to Fan Expo or FanX for actually listening to fans and reviewers like me and allowing us to come into your world. Thank you to anyone who watched this, anyone who's listening, because you guys are what make this world something that's fun and just ultimately be able to live in. And yeah, so with that, I don't have much else to say. Nick is unfortunately got called away to do something. So signing off, I am Matt, and this was our Fan Expo Cleveland review. We'll see you next time.